All right, taking a look at tech this week, we're joined by Carmi Levy, CTV tech analyst. Carmi, I'm kind of fascinated by this story. The Find My Phone feature on an iPhone is actually pretty good, right? I mean, the idea is right because no
Yeah.
one wants to lose a phone, and if there's some way to find it, that's wonderful. I heard you on this morning with Andrew talking about he mentioned someone having lost a phone and finding it in the middle of Lac St. Louis. But this story is interesting only because, and who would have thought of this? This Find My feature has led police to find what?
Not just one phone, thousands of phones. So a gentleman in London, England, had their, unfortunately, phone stolen, and they reported it to police, and they also handed over they were using the Find My information to track it, and they tracked it to a warehouse. And so they gave all that info to the police, and the police, which is smart because you never want to take the law into your own hands. That's dangerous. And the cops went to this warehouse, and they didn't just find one phone. They found 895 phones.
Wow.
Then they did some more investigation. All of them were pinging, like they were all visible on the Find My network. And then they used that information to find another 2,000 phones in another location, and they arrested 18 people. And as it turns out, it was part of this very large smuggling ring where they're no longer smuggling drugs across borders. Turns out iPhones are much more lucrative. You can make a lot more money doing it. You can sell them in China for upwards of $5,000. So thanks to the Find My feature, they were able to zero in on exactly where they were. And I think that's a reminder to all of us when you get a new iPhone, make sure that you turn on Find My, learn how it works, play with it a little bit. I've used it on mine more times than I care to remember because I just lose my stuff constantly. And if you have an Android device, it's called Find My device. It works very similarly, but you got to turn it on and you got to make sure that it's working. That way, if the worst does happen, at least you know where it is and you can hand that off to the police.
Okay, so my confusion arises from the fact that they go using the feature and find phones. How did they find all these other phones? Does it ping every other phone? Like, how did it work?
So they found the location of the one phone, and then they and that one phone, they opened up a shipping container, and it turns out that one phone was sitting in the middle of a pile of hundreds of other ones as well.
Wow.
And when they started pinging them individually, they all showed up at exactly the same location. And as it turns out, other people had been reporting their phones being stolen as well, and they were all showing up in the same location. And so that's the thing is like Find My is not just an app; it's part of a global network where all Apple devices will, if it's an iPhone and it connects to a cell network and it has location services, that's great. Even if it isn't, if it's an AirTag, for example, it will connect to other Apple devices when they're within Bluetooth range. And so they all work together, and that's why you can see all these different Apple devices on a map when you open up the Find My app on any other device. And so I use it on
That's great.
if I ever lost my iPhone, I have Find My on my Mac, on my iPad, even on an Apple Watch. You can use it, and you can find these things wherever they may be in the world.
Learn how it works on yours. Great idea. All right. OpenAI launching, not sure what this means, apps inside of ChatGPT. So
Yes. So, I mean, this is really cool because normally you would think, if I want to plan a vacation, for example, I would go to Expedia.com or I'd load up the Expedia app and
Right.
I'd use it. Now, instead, when you're using ChatGPT, you can just say, hey, please have Expedia plan me a trip to Florida this winter. And then from within the chatbot, the app actually loads up and it does what you want it to do. So basically, it makes ChatGPT app aware, and they've partnered with a bunch of different companies. So Booking.com, Spotify, Zillow, Canva. And they're going to be adding a bunch more over the next little while. DoorDash, Uber, Instacart. So when you order food, for example, you don't have to open up the app right from the chatbot. You can just ask it, and it will automatically activate within the chatbot.
Okay, wait, I have a question, though. So that's fine if you're saying, like for Expedia, for example, right? What
Yeah.
if you just generally ask the question, book that trip and find the lowest price for me without specifying a travel app? Like
So
I
the
said.
cool thing here is that it doesn't just activate when you tell it use this particular service. It tries to determine, based on the conversation, if you need that service in the first place. So, for example, if you ask it about music, please find me a really cool playlist of EDM music because I'm having a party this week. It will pull up Spotify or maybe another music app because it says, oh, Aaron's interested in music, so I'm going to use Spotify. So it's listening for context, and because it's artificial intelligence, it tries to guess which app would go best with what it is that you're looking for. Now, of course, that means sometimes it may pick the wrong one. Maybe it will suggest Expedia, but you wanted to use something else. So it may get it wrong. And of course, we're not going to know this until millions of people start using this every day. But it's interesting because if you think about it, this really is a shot across Google's bow. Whenever you go online, you use Google to find stuff, zero in on the websites and apps that matter most to you. Right. Now, OpenAI is saying, you're not going to need all that stuff. We're going to do it all for you right within the chatbot.
Wow. It's just getting better and better. I mean, and I know that there are lots of different options here, and I keep seeing stuff on social media suggesting, you can ask it this and ask it that, but the warning is always, Carmi, you know what? Don't take what it says as 100% truth. You got to still sort of, be a little wary, right?
That's right, because we know that AI does what is called hallucination or confabulation. It gets things wrong, and sometimes when it gets things wrong, it tries to cover up the fact that it makes the mistake. It's almost like the kid that didn't do their homework and tries to lie about it to the teacher when you all know they're lying. So whenever AI does generate an answer for you, in any case, whether it's using an app or not, you should still check your sources. Don't just cut and paste and submit it as gospel. You should make sure that you found the website that it's referring to, that you read it, that you trust it, that you feel it's legitimate, and that you were able to double, triple, quadruple check that, yes, that is indeed the case. Because, otherwise, and we've seen so many cases where, for example, lawyers will use ChatGPT to write a brief for them. It'll cite cases that never actually happened, and next thing you know, the judge is calling them up and they're getting disbarred. So this is happening more often. AI is still not perfect, and if we think that it's going to book our next trip for us, we may want to double check all the things that it suggests for us before we, pull out that credit card.
Yeah, it's interesting. I read today, actually just earlier today, there are a record number of lawsuits have been filed now over that kind of stuff with AI, where, information provided has turned out not to be in fact accurate. So keep that in mind.
Buyer beware.
Waze, which is something my wife will not get into the car without, has got something called, and I think this is actually, if I read this right, really interesting, conversational reporting, which will allow you to point out road hazards. How would it work?
So, Waze already has that feature built into it. That's one of the reasons why people like it so much is that as they're driving along, they come across construction, so obviously Montreal, lots of reasons to use that, speed traps, accidents, basically things that will make you late. So you can pull it up on the app and you can say, okay, here's an accident, and then that will get shared with other users of Waze so they know to maybe avoid the area. So it's incredibly powerful, but a lot of people don't like using it because you've got to play with the app. And in my car, I use Waze all the time. I use it on Apple CarPlay, but I still have to play with it on the screen. I'm driving in traffic. I don't want to be reporting and being distracted. So they've come up with something called conversational reporting. Instead of having to press a bunch of different buttons, you press one, the report button, and then from that point on, you just talk to it. And it uses artificial intelligence to figure out what it is that you're saying and assign a report to it. So, for example, if you're driving along the DeCarry, you say, look, I just saw a car flip on its roof, right near the OJ, well, then guess what? Waze will then be able to figure that out, and it'll put an accident notification in Waze in the right spot and share it with everyone else. And you get to share that without being distracted. It basically takes a feature that's been around for a long time, and it makes it a lot safer to use. Because it's one of the reasons why I don't like reporting, because I find it really distracting. This would change the game significantly.
So, right, you don't need to know how to post a prompt or anything else. You just say it in conversational language, and it will figure it out and post it.
Exactly, and I think that's one of the promises of AI, and it's one of the we call it use cases that AI does really, really well. If I'm asking it to write a really big paper, it's probably going to get stuff wrong. But if I ask it to do one simple thing, figure out where I am, figure out what it is that I'm trying to say, and put it into a reporting section of an app, it turns out it can do that really, really well. And the more people use it, the better it gets, because it gets trained on all of these people using it day to day.
Wow, good stuff. All right, Carmi, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.